Given what's gone on in the dairy industry the last few years, and now we've also had drought, flood, bushfires, and we've got the shadow of COVID as well, people are starting to talk more about local, buying locally, production locally. Would that be a plus for a co-op such as Norco?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think customers, members of the public really do understand that, buying Australian, buying local is good. But when you're buying from a co-op that's owned by the farmer, it's just that extra 1 or 2 levels above. Because every single cent, every single amount of value that comes back to that cooperative goes to benefit the farmers, whether that's in dividends, in better pricing, or in the value of their cooperative, which lends them to be much more confident in their farming operation so that they can invest and do things better for the future. So I think yes is your question, and being a cooperative gives that extra level of certainty to the consumer that when they're buying that product, that it's going to help farmers more than once in terms of just buying their product, but this whole value ecosystem that helps them in their farming enterprise.
It's a bit of a fine line for something like a well-run co-op as well, because you're also looking at export, not just milk. You export a very nice ice cream.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
How do you avoid that change in the image of localism and helping the local community, whereas really to survive against some of the massive dairy processors in the world, you've got to be looking overseas, don't you?
We certainly do have an export and a thriving export, both fresh milk business and ice cream business. And we have some excellent people in our business that look to operate that area. But we see that as an opportunity to take value and bring that back locally. So when we export, when we sell product overseas, we're obviously taking value from overseas countries, and we're bringing that back to us and being able to distribute that both to our members but obviously to our employees and to our community. So we see it as a very good multiplier to what we do as a cooperative, which is really trying to bring value back to farming, our people and our communities.
You're able to pay a good price for milk after a number of years when prices were well and truly down.
Sure.
As the co-op, you're offering good prices. Things are very optimistic. You've got a lot of other product. Are people knocking on the door to get back into co-ops?
It's interesting. I mean, we've sort of heard some things in the industry in terms of interest of what cooperatives, what benefits they bring, and we're certainly happy to provide what we see the benefits to those people. But we're sort of sitting there still working through how do we continue the value that we've been able to generate for our farmers over the longer term, because we really want to make sure that the value that we've been able to create is something sustainable that will occur for over a longer period of time rather than just 1 or 2 seasons, which has sort of been the history of agriculture. We're certainly looking to see how that's going to be more sustainable.
Would you like to see greater education, not just for the primary producers, but also for the urban consumer on what co-ops have to offer? It's obvious, rural supplies and also the processing of the product, but there's also finance and risk and that sort of thing. Do you think even a lot of your own members aren't aware that how co-ops can help in that way?
Yeah, it's a good point. I think we certainly have a lot of programs which we communicate regularly to our members, and there's a lot of uptake on those. In terms of the consumer really understanding that there is a very big difference between a cooperative and a corporation, particularly one that's either it's offshore organisation or it's listed. There's a different piece of value in terms of where the profits go from that organisation, who they go to help and support. The profits in a cooperative go to the farmers that are the members that provide the produce, where the profits from other organisations go to shareholders, whether they're domiciled in Australia or they're domiciled offshore. That's a really key difference that educating the public should certainly help the cooperatives and then help farmers.
Well, you've got rural supplies. Obviously, your core is taking in milk. You're exporting ice cream. Is there anything that you could see Norco expanding and going in a slightly different direction at the moment?
I think our business will be certainly very much focused around dairy, food and agricultural services. And we've got some exciting NPD that we're looking at. We've got some new products that are currently in development, which is good with some partners, and they should come out on the supermarket shelves over the next 3 to 4 months.